that malicious complaints to an engineer?
I work in the engineering department for a government contractor. While I myself am not an engineer, I work closely with them and am very familiar with their love of sarcasm and malicious complaints. This story takes place earlier this morning. I had to submit something that I'm working on to the electrical engineers for their input on it. Many things in this job are very particular on wording, so to make sure that it was going to be processed, I asked the power engineer work leader if the form had to be titled in a particular way. His response was that I could literally write anything in there and it would be accepted. Crucial background information is that the official ISMA abbreviation guidelines for the word analysis is anal. Next thing he knows, he's getting the email from me with the power analysis request saying, HR name, can you give other engineer this power anal for me? He regretted telling me that I could write anything in a title line, but he did Skype me afterwards and said that he almost fell out of his chair laughing at the title. Working with engineers, at least you knew enough to lubricate your MC before sending it. Poor other engineer, did he at least get bought a drink first? Me, an engineer, reading this thinking I don't love sarcasm and Malik. Oh, I do. Electrical engineer's daughter here, thanking you for your service. When I was in the Navy, I did safety inspections on aircraft. One of the airframers complained to the maintenance control chief about the way I wrote up discrepancies at gripes. I had said that a hydraulic fitting was leaking profusely and the guy didn't know what profusely meant. The chief was Filipino and wasn't quite fluent in English. He didn't know what it meant either, but he kept a dictionary on his desk. He looked it up and determined that I had spelled the word correctly and used it in a way that made sense. He was happy to learn a new word and thought it was funny that the airframer got worked up about it. I made it my mission to grow that chief's vocabulary. I also started adding an element of commentary when appropriate. For instance, main gearbox cowling supports struts installed by America's finest in such a way as to render them completely useless. Hopefully the other engineer is a power bottom if you're going to be giving him the power anal.
Make it too expensive for indie filmmakers. Fine. Watch paint dry.
Paint Drying is a 2023 British experimental protest film that was produced, directed and shot by Charlie Shackleton. He created the film in 2016 to protest against film censorship in the United Kingdom and the sometimes prohibitive cost to independent filmmakers which the British Board of Film Classification's BBFC classification requirement imposes. The film consists of 607 minutes 10 hours and 7 minutes of a static view of white paint drying on a brick wall. Shackleton made the film to force the BBFC to watch all 10 hours to give the film an age rating classification. He initially shot 14 hours worth of footage of paint drying in 4K resolution and opened a Kickstarter campaign to pay the BBFC's per minute rate for a film as long as possible. Shot 14 hours, so he could release an unrated director's cut. I would have included an out-of-focus highway in part of frame along with the painted surface, so that the random movement of traffic would make any change detection software useless, and only then would include a couple minutes of raw dogging in part of frame where highway is. Make BBFC work for every penny. I'm awaiting the sequel, Paint, the second layer. This is glorious. Imagine the level of spite to film over 10 hours. I salute you, Mr. Shackleton. How many camera angles did he use? Does it have a dramatic score? I'm not sure paying someone to do something is the best way to protest the cost of the thing. The BBFC profited from this. Reviewers got an easy job. They might have even been surfing Reddit while reviewing the film. More power to Shackleton. I like this as performance art. But don't forget that the BBFC went home with a fat stack of money.